おかえりなさいませ。
So, I just watched Tensei Shitara Slime Datta Kin second season part 2, episode 37. Be sure to let me know any other anime you want me to check out this season. I know there's like Kanojo Mo Kanojo, Villainess I have to go find and see if they made an episode 4 already. And then also Dragon's Maid, because I was watching season 1. I'm going to be technically skipping ahead a bit, but I don't really think that show gets too plot heavy. So I should be fine anyways, it's just the comedy aspect, right? Here, I had mostly a recap from the end of season 2, and I watched basically half of part 1. So everything I'm going to say here is from like a new person coming to the show, right? I have some information, like when I saw one of the characters today, the king from the episode with the doors, I was like, oh, it's that guy again. It's kind of ironic that I got here when he got back. But outside that, it was just more normal stuff. Like, I know obviously him and so Rimuru and Valdora, they had a contractor. He helped him get out specifically. He ate him, and that way he would be able to be free after being put in a bind by the legendary hero, whatever. But now he's free and proud, and he's yelling at the top of his lungs and repeating stuff he learned from anime while sitting in our main character's mind or stomach or spatial dimension, whatever it is. For some time, he was already boastful and everything else like that, but you know, he has manga in his memory and also brags about being super good at shogi, which I'm pretty sure he's just been sitting in space or whatever with Ifrit for a while now, just playing shogi. Also, they unlocked like a ton of ultimate skills, but that part was mainly just being like, oh my gosh, we finally did it. You know, the first thing that showed up in season 1, you know, the whole thing about him being free. Yes, it's finally happened. I at least remember that much. I remember waiting like, when is this gonna happen? And it season 2 part 2. There was my answer. I thought the op was okay. Wasn't my favorite, especially from the last ones we had season, but like I think that's kind of a little unfair to compare to a like a a musical anime kind of Vivi, and then I just really liked 86. I think that one was a banger. But yeah, no, I think the reason I say that though is I think I had an op I liked from this show better. I just can't remember which one it was. But I love the fact they get out the cave and he's like, you know, can you relax? Like you're gonna freak everybody out. And he's like, okay. He's like, I just need you to grab all your presents and squeeze it in. And he just like, oh yeah, sure. Which I was gonna say, that kind of reminds me of like like Frieza or whatever. And he literally grabs his essence and shoves all the way back in and goes Super Saiyan basically, as he's like screaming, going and hair turning yellow and everything. Or I guess he's already blonde. Hair just flying up in the air. It just kind of funny. I just like, wow, it's really going for the Toriyama stuff now, which is also funny. Where I think this show's comedy is basically trying to go, is they go the Toriyama style of comedy, or at least in some instances. He straightened his hair before. Oh no! When they walk over to the village or castle, whatever it is, and he's introducing Valdora to everybody else. I love the fact, the little details they gave him, where he starts straightening his hair before being introduced and like dusting himself off. I thought it was pretty funny. And then when they finally figure out who he is, because I think one lady who's like a spirit shows up and is like, oh my gosh, my lord, it's great that you're back. We protected the forest for you. They all just immediately bow in respect and fear. It was, oh my gosh, when they're celebrating him being back, they throw babies. The goblins throw babies in the air. It's like a small detail. I don't know if you noticed, but like, do not throw your child just because some person of royalty shows back up. What the heck is wrong with you? Also, then we get Shino's cooking. I think that's how you pronounce her name. If not, we're gonna figure out later. It doesn't really matter. I know she died because I watched the second season kind of recap episode, and everybody's all sad about it, but then they kind of pull like the, oh my gosh, there's actually this last moment thing that we healed people. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm completely aware that this show is full of cliches, which we're coming up to. So she starts doing her cooking, right? And I think the facial animations for the cooking scenes were great. Like, that was like where you could see where some of the budget went, was Rimuru. I had to like get used to saying his name because they always say it in Japanese, but they say it so fast. Being in horror, that he was going to have to eat whatever food was going to come from her. Also, the redheaded Oni dude, his name is Maru. I wrote it out. I don't remember if I know how to say it. pronounce it correctly. And they're both ready to die, which is like the obvious cliche, right? But then they actually at least break the cliche by him actually saying what's wrong with the food. They're like, oh, yeah, oh man, we're gonna have to eat this and die. No one can tell her cooking's bad, which I figured they'd go with to be a little cliche or whatever. But you get there over it. But he literally goes, why in the freak is there like an actual onion in here? You're supposed to cut it. And then she's like, oh, well, I only had my Hercules edge. There's just nothing I could do, It's just like really long. And he's just like, can you just use a knife? I don't remember if it was after. Oh, no, it couldn't have been after. As he tells her to use a knife, she's like, no, I think she says like, no, I'm gonna use my sword, or like I have to. And then he's like, no, like really. And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize so much. And she slams her head into the desk, but like her horn indents the desk, and that just cracked me up a lot. You always look at things like that, like horn attachments on people, and you're always like, would it break? Like, how brittle is your horn? But clearly, not that much. She slammed her head into that desk like 3 times, or table 3 times. I was like, man, okay. After that, though, they try her cooking. And turns out when she died, coming back to life, she gained the skill of Master Chef. So it doesn't matter what her food looks like, or probably how she prepares it either. It will always be good. As good as she wants it to be, I believe was the wording, or something like that. And then Maru, or whatever you pronounce his name, just started crying, and it cracked me up. I rolled. I just went lol. He cried on my notes. Also, we get to their next scene where it's basically him kind of giving his commands as a leader. He's talking about how he's going to become a demon lord, and I love the fact that he was like, I'm going to be a demon lord. And he was waiting for like a big response, and we just get the one girl going, hi. And he's like, I'm going to become a demon lord. And she just goes, hi. I'm going to become a demon lord. And then they just say it again, because no one's surprised. They just watched you do it. They were all there for that giant scene where like, oh, he's becoming a demon lord and he's gaining all these powers. And I hope, the one thing I'm worried about this anime is I hope we don't go on hours of just them being like skill, 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 and they not be like super relevant. You know what I mean? Like, not like, oh, he got the skill to be. I mean, he's also almost basically invincible at this point, right? But I guess to the degree where it's like they're just not really relevant. They just add them on to sound cool. Like, oh, you have a new attack, and it's like he's never going to use that thing. Or like if he does, it's going to be one episode, it's going to kill everybody. You know what I mean? It doesn't have any relevance. But we basically get his plan where he wants to stage war on another demon lord, Clayman. He also wants to keep the church in check, and we also have to rescue another one, Charon. So it's nice to see the little plans go off. Really funny thing was this guy named Fuse runs in and like doesn't seem to know that everybody's back to life or whatever. Or, like they were just attacked. Like he's really late, and he's like, "Oh, you guys, you're in danger, but I brought troops. I brought at least 50 soldiers, and they're here to fight." And he basically like, "Yeah, I already settled that. I basically annihilated them all by myself," which is the Toriyama humor. Toriyama has this thing of he'll write something ridiculous that a character can do, and all his other characters are basically for like being, I think it's called a straight man. They're basically the straight man. So Goku will like punch a wall in half or something stupid, and then they'll be like, oh, I thought that guy was just normal. Oh, that's just the basic writing in that comedy. But I thought it was played off well here. I thought that was okay. Also, yeah, the entire army part, I think, is what got me, because he's just like, yeah, I'm just trying to explain it. It's the entire army. Oh, also, okay, so here's some jank that I paid attention to that I thought was funny. So, King Gazelle, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he's showing up, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's that dude I remember from first season. He's flying over to meet with us, I believe, and, he specifically has Pegasuses with wings, but they're running on the air. I know this isn't the first part of fiction I've seen this in. I know I've seen it before, so it's not on this show. I'm pretty sure I've seen Pegasuses moving with their feet while they're in the air, but why? They have wings. Is it like are they like propelling themselves? Is it like swimming underwater or something? I just saw that and went, why is that happening? Also, he has a homunculus visit him as well, or at least an elf king that is using homunculus as a pseudo body in order to reach Rimuru, because you don't know what you're doing with the Demon Lord. You never know if he's crazy or not. Till he says, wait, you're the one who he says his name, and he's like, wait, you're the one who seduced my daughter? You're gonna die! And he does like a bunch of Naruto hand signs, which is like amazing. And then he claps his hands, and he's like a bunch of fire, and then Erden comes out and hits him across the head with like a pole or whatever, and then he basically calms down. The other king's like, man, you were still an overprotective father. And then he's basically like, I'm going to be a part of you guys' meeting as well, because they're trying to figure out what Valdora's next move is going to be, in a sense. Overall, I thought this episode was okay. I think it had some funny moments in it. I'm not too attached to these characters, obviously, so we're going to see how that goes throughout this. I think some of the writing parts were really good. Did I say writing parts? I think some of the writing was really good. Other parts are a bit cliche, but I like that they changed some of the cliches. The one thing with anime like this is you always don't want to be able to just read the whole thing, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be able to read it when you sit down. So it's interesting to see where we're going with this. And hopefully, this will be one of my favorite shows of the summer season, along with the other ones we're going to watch. Hopefully, I like all of them. And let me know what you think. Let me know what shows you want me to watch for summer. Again, I think Villainess and Dragon's Maid 2 are going to automatically be things. So we'll see. I'll catch y'all later. Peace, Baka Brigade.